So, hey, welcome back to the Aerospace Executive Podcast. By the time this one hits, it will be early January 2025.
Oof.
And I'm really happy to have my good friend Tysen Pina. Tysen is the aviation department head at the Kansas State University. Go Wildcats, go Big
Cats.
12.
Go Cats.
And he just took over there. It's interesting as we record this. I think back, it was a year ago, Tysen, that you and
I talked to the dean yesterday, and yesterday was the year anniversary of my interview where I flew up here to actually get a lay of the land. And I remember thinking, I'm flying into Salina, Kansas. Never saw this happening, but thankful for the opportunity.
And it was the day before Christmas that they called me and said that you were the person that was going to get the job. So
you remember what a head case I was before that.
Yeah. Congratulations. So you've done some great things since you've been there too. So it's awesome to watch your success.
It's been an amazing time to grow, to figure out, how my Air Force background and operations background could come in here and grow this place, because it's an amazing place with outstanding energy. And it actually had all of the pieces and parts in there. It just needed to come together and bring some procedures in and kind of some policy, and we're off and running now.
Talk about what you guys are doing at K-State. What's the aviation department up there doing? And it's a lot.
It is a lot, and I'm excited because we were talking a little earlier, and right now is the lull. We just finished our my first semester, my inaugural semester. I survived. I didn't get fired, so that's always a good thing. Hey, we did it. So now we're in a lull, after grades are in there, where I can talk to my faculty members and say, you know what, guys, I have an idea of where I want to go with this program and this organization, but now I want your ideas about how we can get better, because now we're not in the putting out fires mode. We did that. We put out the policies and procedures that have us going in a direction. So now how do we climb out, right? Because it's like aviation in general. I've planned for everything. We've laid the groundwork. We've taxied out to the runway, and now we're flying our departure. We've gotten out of this Bravo that was the first semester, where it was just, things coming at us from all different places. And honestly, it was a lot of me learning, right? Because I've never been in academia before. And so as a military dude that's trying to knife hand his way through, they're like, you know what? How about a softer side? How about, going to I didn't know about faculty senate, right?
Yeah.
The faculty senate gets a vote on changes that happen in my department, because as a squadron commander, I owned my airspace, and I made decisions, and we just moved on. And here, although I believe in buy-in, even in the Air Force, I would talk to my airmen and get their buy-in, before I put things down. Here it happens in a kind of more official capacity, where I actually have to run my ideas through committees and whatnot. And so that was just a change from, things that I understood. And so this semester has been a lot of humility, a lot of learning, trying to understand the corporate culture. And then this one was unique too, because the person that was somewhat in my seat probably 5 years ago, unfortunately passed, and he held this program together for 35 years of, his blood, sweat, and tears into this program. And so it was a program that was personal. And, when you lose an executive like that, say a Nick Saban as a head coach, it's hard for the Kalen DeBoers of the world to take over.
It's big shoes to fill.
It's huge shoes to fill. And it's not just, how things were done. It was the heart with which it was done, because it was his program. It was his baby. And so all of the graduates were not just students that graduated. They were part of his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sets up, an executive to come in and take over after that, not for failure, but it takes a certain kid gloves to come in here and go, I respect what happened in the past, and I love that stuff, and I want to learn the culture and why we do things the way that we do things. And then once you invest in that, and that you steady the ship, if you will, because I know you love nautical terms, then now we can carve a pathway forward. We can shoot that astral navigation and start to move the ship forward. And so that was a lot of the semester. It was just shaking hands and understanding and hearing the same story from 15 different perspectives about what happened in the past, so that they could feel comfortable, with where we're going moving forward.
So what do you got? So you got, let's talk about K-State's program. You've got the flight school there. You're training ab initio pilots. You've got A&P. You're focusing on the A&P.
Yep, that is correct.
You've got engineering.
On campus, yep, we have applied engineering. We've got integrated studies with computer learning. We've got robotics. We've got a program where they're learning and extending XR technology, which I actually plan to bring into our program. And if you're not familiar with XR, it's VR, right? We all have our VR headsets. Don't tell them, but I'm getting my son one for Christmas. But
I don't have one of those. But
you have to. I'm not gonna lie. When I feel non-current, especially in IMC, I'll put the VR headset on in my home simulator, and I'll fly approaches. And honestly, I feel more comfortable when I'm out there flying in the stuff because it's like I've been there, and so that really helps tune your senses to what's going on. But the XR technology takes it up to the next level because you wear in these, gloves, kind of like the power gloves from back in our days in the 1980s with the Nintendo, but they can sense where your hands are as well. And so now if I put you in a 172 cockpit, then not only are you seeing that in virtual reality, now you can reach out and touch, the throttle, and you can feel it, tactilely, right? And so I see it, I feel it, and now I'm 98% immersed in what I'm doing. I can hit my G1000 buttons in the sim or in the VR, but actually I feel it too because I'm touching it in real life. And now that takes you from VR, gives you, 80, 85% complete immersion to all the way up to like 98, where you feel like you're in the aircraft. It also is on a 7DOF platform, so you're moving as well. And where I want to take that is working with some of our partners, bringing a couple of those sims online, running our freshmen through first semester, and seeing if we can get them to solo in the sim, and then how much faster they're able to solo in real life. And just thinking about if we can make that more efficient, it becomes more affordable as well. And that's a boon to the industry. And now we can also petition the FAA to allow us to put it into the actual private pilot syllabus. Now we're moving, flying forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. You guys are so cutting edge on that. Like, I was talking to obviously when I went through flight school, it was ground school, read the books, listen to lectures, stay awake if you could.
Right.
Get in the airplane and we're going flying. No real simulation.
But that's the constant struggle too. Talking to my older faculty, I have faculty here that have been here for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And so they were here before autopilot. They were here before you could follow the Garmin Magenta line. And so, there are different schools of belief on how training should be accomplished. Mm-hmm. I had a alumni come back just yesterday, and that's one of the connective tissues that I've really tried to reach out to because that has been a not ostracized community, but they haven't been pulled back in. And one of the things that I believe in is holistic, right? I have my students that I'm trying to recruit. Like, here's a great program. I'm going to hold you to a high standard, and you're going to be a professional pilot, because I could teach anyone to fly, but you're going to be a professional out there in the industry because we want to make K-State graduates sought after, not just people that could do the thing, right? And so that comes with a couple different levels that go beyond flying. And so in order to do that, we have to remind them that you're a professional. And so what you do, you have to do with pride, and you have to show up on time, and you have to be able to communicate well. And we instituted a safety management system where, safety is not a 1 or a 0. It's a lot of gray. It's a lot of risk mitigation. So quantify what those risks are, and then how do you mitigate it? And then your go, no-go decision comes from that. And so that's what we're trying to create. And I try to get in front of all of the recruits first and let them know that's the kind of program you're stepping into. So go visit all of these other places first, then come back. Because when you come back to us and you're on campus, I want you to know that's the expectation, and you're already ready for that charge. And so when I come out and knife hand you because you're not going to class, you understand why, and you're ready to fix it. And then when we're also having the conversation of maybe this isn't the program for you, you knew from the beginning that I was going to hold you to that higher standard. And now it's where the rubber meets the road, because it's not for everyone. And that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So you come as a recruit, Then you're a student. We grow you as a professional, as a student. But then I also believe the alumni are still part of this program because the alumni, that's our calling card. They're who we produce and our product to the world. And so if they're out there doing great things, I want to highlight them. I want to bring them back. I want them to talk to current students. A couple of weeks ago, we brought a panel of 5 alumni in, and they were talking to the students. We had one from the FAA, and students were like, we didn't even know that was a career option. Like, yeah, absolutely. You can go be the regulatory, like, pilots regulate pilots. So yeah, absolutely. You can go do that. And here are the lifestyle benefits that come from that. You're in one place. You're doing a job that you love. There's not as much flying, but you're still a part of the aviation career. And so opening their aperture to all the things that are out there, that's important. And I think our alumni do that better than anything that I could do as, an old man that didn't graduate from the school.
So it's interesting. You're like most universities, you're a kid in college and you go to school, and if you you do well, great. If you don't do well, sorry, best of luck to you. Whatever.
Yeah.
But you're holding their feet to the sea. You're putting a little bit of your military background, and they're holding their feet to the fire.
Absolutely. And, better than anyone, in a training environment, we're a team. And so I am just another part. And so the other thing I have up there, my org chart, right? I brought org charts in, to K-State Aviation. And so, the dean is at the pyramid. She's at the peak, but, I'm up there at the top. But then also my chief pilot, I hired 4 assistant chiefs. And so I'm pouring into them, trying to teach them how to lead and how to manage, because unfortunately, sometimes when you go through this pilot profession, you just fly and you're not really taught how to lead and how to manage. And, in the military, it's a blessing that I think we take for granted, that we are mentored from the start and we're given small charges to then lead the bigger charges, that then all of a sudden we have people under us and, we're getting constantly critiqued on how we lead and how to do it better. And then if your PowerPoint isn't on point for the 06, then, you get your hand slapped, because that's a part of managerial, training. And sometimes we don't even take it as that. It's just, the font is wrong and the boss wants it. But it's how you present yourself to the world. And so, as I'm working on reports for the dean and the provost and the president, and I'm trying to get my, assistant chief pilots to understand why I need the metrics that I need. And that's the other thing. I bring in a lot of metrics because I believe in metric-based decision-making. And before I got here, it's kind of like, that feels right. Right. And that has its place in a small organization, but with, 500 students and, 20 aircraft, well, actually 30 something aircraft, 33 aircraft, like it's a growing organization. And as I build this 10-year plan, I look to places like Auburn University is my gold standard, have a great relationship with their whole department. I visited, and I visit with them every time we go to conferences, because I love the way that they do stuff. It's okay to be where you are, but if you're not growing, you're losing. You're starting to shrink. You're starting to have problems. And so we're always trying to get better here. And so right now they have about 750 pilot students alone. And the way that they organize is just, it's outstanding. And so that's where the vision is for 10 years from now. And so now it's just, how do we get our ducks in a row and a line to get there? And that takes such change management, right? Because it's not just here. I have to talk to our assistant dean that does finances to figure out how we're going to flow our aircraft properly so that we can slowly build the fleet. I have to talk to our student support staff to see how we can support that many students with what we have. I have to talk to facilities and talk about how we can possibly get appropriations for another building that's bigger, that can house, all of these extra students. We have just over 1,000 students total on campus. 500 of them are ours. So as we grow, that significantly affects the campus as it grows. And so I have to bring in all of the other outside support agencies as well, so that we can grow in unison, so that, we don't grow and then it's like, we can't fit all these people in the building. We can't, clean it. We don't have enough staff to clean up after all of these people. We don't have the housing to billet them. And so this has been a very cool and challenging, problem to have, because I have to grow as a communicator when I'm going cross org to make sure I understand their equities in the program that I'm leading. And so it's so much fun.
what are the majors? So what are the various majors? Obviously, you've got pilot training there.
Yep, we've got professional pilot. We've got our uh, aviation management, which I have so many ideas for that, but it grew from, it used to be air traffic control for a while, but then they got rid of that. And then it became airport management major. And now we're growing it into bigger than that. But most of our subject matter experts are still airport management. So our connections into the airport world are huge. But where I want to take that program is, especially after going to MBAA, and man, I'm going to have a way better strategy to get through MBA next year. But I want us to have more of a business aviation kind of focus in that major. I want to have more certifications in that major, whether it be dispatch, fleet management, or we get with MBAA and get their certified CAM. What's CAM? Certified
Aviation manager.
Aviation management. Yeah, manager. So that they have tangible certificates that they gather along the way, so that they're a jack of all trades and they can go to, places like Clay Lacy and work at an FBO, or they can go to a brokerage and be able to sell any airplane. They're knowledgeable about the industry, or they go into a charter company and they're able to grow. I met so many smaller charter companies that I'm like, hey, what if I got, one of my students this, and this? When they apply to your organization, what do you do with them? And while they start out at a low level with a smaller charter company, they can grow with that company, and establish more, because they're able to do more. And now they are the connective tissue with growth. It's like, oh, we can just plug Billy into this. Okay, Billy has the capability to do this too. Cool. All right. And you grow with the organization. And so instead of having to hop from job to job to grow as you grow, you're growing with the job. And so that exponentially changes the course of your career. And having seen that now, that's what I want to bring back to this program, so that major is something that's sought after, from around the country.
What kind of industry? I mean, obviously you're reaching out to industries now. You're at WBAA. You're talking to Clay Lacy. Obviously, I know. Yeah, everybody knows them really very well.
Yeah,
great organization. What's industry telling you? What are they telling you we're lacking now? What are they telling you that they want to see in the future from students?
So one of the things that I've noticed, especially talking to them, is that not many people in aviation come from an aviation major, right? Most of our industry experts that aren't pilots specifically are just regular business majors, or they fell into aviation because, oh, look, there's an opportunity to do a thing. And so I've been asking, like, what if there are people that are specifically trained? We have a business department here that is applied business. And so I'm looking to possibly, fuse that, because our whole campus, our college is the College of Aerospace Technology. And that's so awesome. And our dean has a plan to make sure that we all interlink. And so if I take some of that applied business and I bring it into our aviation management major and I switch it, and now the lexicon it's business aviation, that's the major, and they are a jack of all trades within that, and they're able to understand finances and P&L, but they also understand the aviation industry from being a baby, and we grow them up in it, and that's just what they know. And we get them internships and they get out there, because as you know, a lot of this business is just knowing the right people. And so now we take these sharp, young, passionate about aviation students, and we get them in front of these, COOs or hiring managers, the recruiters, and they're like, wow, I like the cut of your jib. You are a fantastic, driven individual, and you seem to have a good background in P&L. You understand business side of it, but then I could flashcard you, as we used to do at the academy, any jet that we have, and you know what it is, its range, its occupancy. But then also, I want to throw some hospitality training, because K-State has an amazing hospitality program, right? Okay. So now I have a business major that is passionate about aviation that also has a little hospitality sprinkled in, because if we look at the charter business, if it's not hospitality like a hotel, then I don't know what is. And so now they have some of that as well. We send them out into the world and they can make an immediate impact on any organization.
That's awesome. Are you creating that? Is that the curriculum you're creating, or is that one that you're?
That is what I'm kicking around with what I've been blessed with here is we have amazing faculty, and I have my option coordinator for that particular program is just well tied in. And so he keeps introducing me to the right people. And so from our industry board that we have, we're getting that feedback. And so now we're trying to slowly change the curriculum so that it's less airport management and more business aviation at large.
Where are your students coming from?
All over the country, which was shocking to me when I got here. And I'm talking to a kid from New Jersey. I'm like, what is that accent? And sorry, my face does that when Jersey accent, it just does that sometimes. I'm from Boston originally before I moved down to Georgia. So when I hear that accent, it hits me a different way. And I'm like, where are you from? And when he said Jersey, I was like, what are you doing in the middle of Kansas? Right. And so the cool thing about aviation too is that I knew I wanted to fly since I was 3. That it's been a passion of mine. And, you've seen my LinkedIn, like it just flows, right? Like I love it. I love airplanes. And when we talked originally, I was like, look, I need 3 things. I need to be around airplanes. I need an organization to grow, and I need people to be able to pour into and make better. And there's no better place than here. And so when you know that you love aviation, especially because a lot of people are blessed like that and that they know it from a young age, they seek it out. And so I have all these recruits. I just had 3 recruits. I have 3 future students that it's hard. It's so hard.
There you go.
Change lexicon, right? That just came into my office, and I was like, where are you from? And one is from Southern California. Where are you from? One is from Montana. Where are you from? They're from Texas. And I'm like, what? Like, this is crazy. I'm in Salina, Kansas, Craig. Salina, Kansas. If it's a rectangle. We're right here. So it's almost central Kansas. It's the borderland before you get out into just,
great flying country.
It is amazing flying country. And we're right on the edge of an Air Force range. So I get to see my guys all the time. We just had a squadron of A-10s here. And so getting connections with them, let the students go pet the jets and everything, huge motivation for them, which is cool. But yeah, they come from everywhere and they're excited to be here. And when they ultimately pick us, it's pretty cool because it keeps us from being homogenous too. But then it also lets me know that we need to get better at recruiting from our backyard. If I'm the university or if I'm the Kansas State football coach and all of our recruits are coming in from other states, it makes me take a step back and go, okay, why are we not winning the battlefield at home?
Yeah, no doubt. What before your recruits show up at your door, do you make them get their head shaved? Get clean?
Well, I mean, okay, so I'll roll into that. No. I'll roll into that. I do talk to them about professionalism, right? So if I'm right now, we're in the inter semester period, and so I pulled back the dress code a little bit because our guys still wear uniforms.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we still wear. So the instructors wear white shirts with epaulets, and the students wear blue shirts with epaulets every day. Okay. It's part of the tradition of K-State. And it's one of those things that as I talk to alumni, they're proud of. And so we're not going to change that. We're going to tweak it. So like the inter-semester period, you can wear, something else. And then in the summer, they wear polos. And we'll probably start earlier this year, transitioning to polos slowly but surely. Because the other side of alumni I have a lot of charter alumni as well. They're like, we don't wear that. Mm-hmm. And so to pay homage to that side, then we'll start getting into polos earlier so that there's more equity between we're wearing professional, airlines uniforms and then also polos, because when we teach professionalism, it's also, you have to look like a professional. So can you look like a professional when I let you wear a polo? What shoes are you wearing? Is it wrinkly? Like all of that stuff matters as well. And it's a part of looking the part.
Absolutely. What industry partners? I mean, you guys got some pretty good industry partners here at K-State.
We're working on it. That was one of those things. So I was fortunate to be in communication with them right after I was hired. So I had 6 months before I was able to actually officially take the seat. And so in those 6 months, I was doing Skill Bridge from the Air Force out in Las Vegas, which was a huge benefit. Shout out to Joe Chenault and Chenault Flying Services out there. It was an amazing experience in a 141 program that was high volume. I mean, they are constantly turning, and they were part of the Purdue and Liberty University programs. So I got to see the collegiate syllabus being run as well. So it was just an invaluable experience. And, it was the dude that owns it. I was in a squadron in Las Vegas with him way back in the day. So again, it's sometimes who amazing individual who has a great flight school. So out there, I was able to see how those industry partners kind of work and start getting into that. I went to a couple conferences while I was out there as well. And I found out when I came to ask the question that we didn't really have that many great ties directly. And so we started working on two specifically. I don't really want to name yet, but this semester we should be pulling in two pathway programs for our pilots into the majors, which is very exciting, especially right now when we're in somewhat of a downturn. It's not really a downturn, but talking to one of them, they went from hiring people at 500 turbine like just a year and a half ago to now they're up over 3,500 and into 4,000 before they'll even look at an application.
Oh, wow. So it's there you go. So the world, it's amazing how the world's changed. What do you want to see from industry? I mean, what would be your heart? So
the connective tissue. So I'm out there right now trying to talk to charter airlines specifically because I want like small pathways to that as well. Like if we were with a Southwest per se or United, then they're going to pick up 10, 12 students every year, which is awesome. But a charter company can't do that because most of them are small other than Wheels Up and a couple other the ginormous ones. But even the smaller ones can pick up like a pilot a year or two. And now if I can connect to a bunch of those, now we have a full like charter pipeline as well, because, I'm trying to make sure my students know like aviation is ginormous. I just made that word up. It's ginormous. And there's so many different places to go. And so the panel that we had a couple of weeks ago had like 3 charter pilots on it, 2 of them being corporate. They fly for corporate fleets, which I didn't even know was a thing before I took this job. I thought all of those corporations just hired out, charter planes, but they have their own fleets. Again, this is me not knowing, right? Walmart has a fleet of airplanes.
Oh, yeah.
Nike
they buy them all used.
Yeah. Nike has a fleet of airplanes. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, you can work for the Nike flight department. And so me right now, because I love it, I am exploring all of those things and how to connect those to our students as well. And then also Homeland Security has its own aviation arm. NOAA has its own aviation arm. The FBI has its own aviation arm. So all of these places I'm trying to go and I'm trying to connect so that at least I know the people to talk to. So when a student comes in and they have a passion for a certain kind of aviation, or they want to go to a certain location that's outside of the airlines, I can also plug them in there because, hold on, I get something real quick. So one of the traditions we weren't really doing here that got lost was celebrating victories, right? Celebrating wins. And so we brought back where if a student solos, we get out there, we take a picture of them, they're with their instructors. And another thing, I'm like, instructors, get in the picture because you did that as a team. It wasn't just this person that accomplished this. It was you and that person. So I expect my instructors to be in those pictures. And so they're holding up a sign and they're like, my first solo, or I'm a private pilot, or my commercial license. But then there's also, I'm a CFI. And then I have a specific one that says I have been hired as a K-State CFI because I want to get to a point where they're fighting to come be instructors here because we're pouring into them. They were mad at me at first because I don't know if you saw it on LinkedIn, but K-State, when I got hired, did a whole blitz of media stuff. And so one of the videos said, I want to grow the program, but we're not growing anything until I can make sure that we're at an excellent level, right? And we're not there yet. Specifically, I want my CFIs to be at an excellent level because if they're excellent, then they're going to teach excellently, and their carbon copies are already going to be excellent when we hire them as instructors later. And so my instructors came up to me, a couple of them anyway, and they go, "You don't think we're excellent?" And I was like, no, absolutely not. You're not. You're not, right? I'm going to be honest with you. You're not where I want you to be. And I was like, it's not your fault.
Mhm.
How much training have you had since you got your CFI certificate? And each of them said, none. We just go fly. I was like, okay, cool. Well, that seems like, how do you get better? How are you excellent if you're not any better than you were when you got your certificate? Like, like how much standardization do you do as a group? Do you sit there and make sure that you guys teach things similarly? And if there's a better practice out there, bringing that in and then teaching it that way. How many backseat rides do you get from the assistant chief to make sure that you are standardized across the board? None.
Mhm.
How much feedback have you gotten? None. Right. And these are all military things, right? So this is not me. This is just how it is. Right. And so bringing that kind of culture there, they're like, oh, I was like, so it's not your fault. I have to do better for you. I owe you training opportunities. I owe you flight hours so that you can make sure you can do the skills that you're teaching, every day. So I am the reason you're not excellent yet. But now that I'm here and I'm instituting this, we're going to get you there. And then once we get you there, now it's your job to hold everybody to that standard. And so we're there. So we celebrate when they are K-State instructors, because I want the students to see that we hold our instructors to a higher level so that they strive to be that. And that's a badge of honor as well. But then the last one, this is my favorite. I want to celebrate when they get hired somewhere.
The former K-State CFI. Now I'm off too. There you go. I love
Sky West or Airshare or, wherever they're going, because I want them to celebrate and know that there are 2 graduations here, right? They graduate and get their degree, and then they come back as CFIs. Then they fly with me until they get their hours. And then they go off and do something else great. That's their second graduation. Congratulations. I celebrate when it's time for you to go, because now you're one of our alumni that's out in industry. And for too long, it was like, I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice. Right? That shouldn't be the way. We should be like, congratulations, let's go. Because that's the goal. That's the goal. And so I'm excited about bringing that kind of culture, because when you walk into a flight building, it should feel good, because we're about to go fly. I try to tell people, like, my favorite thing to do is to go up at sunrise or sunset with a cup of coffee and watch the sun rise. And I have something in my Bluetooth headset, and it's spiritual almost, right? We get to do this. We get to do it. We don't have to. We get to do this. And so it should feel like that when you walk through. And so we're there, we're there where people are excited to come into the building, and I like it.
Is the military coming in recruiting from you guys at all? What's that looking like?
The military per se, no, but there are some uniformed services that have come knocking at the door. So we should be able to roll that out sometime mid next semester about who we are partnering with there.
It's you would think that, in the essence of, saving some money and identifying some really good students.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd think the Air Force and the Navy would be banging on your door going, hey, look, we can go get some kids with 1,500 hours or 1,000 hours, or they're already CFIs and we don't have to really, you can put them on a T6 and you can skip half the syllabus because they already know how to fly instruments.
We have 3 ROTC students with us, and like the type of person it takes to do ROTC while they're here, because ROTC is up in Manhattan, that's an hour away. And so multiple times a week, they go up to Manhattan, for that class. I wish I had the ability to explain to the powers that be what kind of gumption that shows. And they're going to be great officers. Like you just know it. They're those kind of people. We have 4 students that are in the band, and we have a football player. We have a rower. Like, that's in Manhattan. That is an hour away, and they have to get those practices. And so one of the things that I'm also trying to make sure is that people are looking out for those students too, because to me, if you're willing to represent the university like that and do extracurriculars that make you better, and in my humble opinion, make you a more well-rounded professional in the future, I'm gonna bend over backwards to make sure that this also works for you, as long as you are the type of student that gives 100% every time you're here.
Yep. I love it. I love how you're setting the standard. I mean, that was the, it's, you've got some, it's great. Embry-Riddle. People know Embry-Riddle. People know UND very well.
Yeah.
Some of the flights, when you start to set the standard and people say, like when I look at a resume, there's a couple of universities I see on a resume, Purdue being one of them, Georgia Tech.
Academy.
Georgia Tech, Naval Academy.
Hey, come on now. Hey, those guys are okay.
Nah, it's the boat school. They're boat scholars.
Yeah.
But you
Did you see the Army Navy game?
I was supposed to be there.
Oh, that was the one to be at, man.
I got to tell you, I was supposed to be there, and there was one hiccup. It was my wife's birthday. And it was a milestone. It was a milestone birthday.
You made the right choice. You are sage and wise, and people can learn from you because well done. But that game, I did not give them a snowball's chance in heck.
They played well.
That game.
Yep. So, I enjoy watching that game because once again, it's a little bit about what you're teaching your kids.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's purpose.
Yeah,
it's purpose, and it's more than I'm going to play here to get my NIL money, or I'll play here until the transfer portal opens up. There's a purpose there, and there's more to it, and that's from both the players and the student bodies, and so I just always enjoy that. But coming back to what I was saying was, I like how you're creating the foundation for, hey, we're not just a school where many universities, it's like I said, you come, we throw you the wolves. If you do great, cool. If you don't do great, good luck to you. We want to see professionalism. And I know that comes across. It's not just pilot training. You're doing you've got AMPs.
AMPs, yeah.
There. How many AMPs you guys have in your?
Just under 100. And it's funny because that's the program that I'm most excited about. There's a lot of growth there because everyone needs AMPs everywhere. And not just AMPs, we're also looking at the stackability of our degree process where, we're in a culture now that, if I'm being honest, they don't see degrees as the end all be all, like everything, right? Mm-hmm. Because I could just get a certification in something and go off and do it. And I think the tech sector has shown us the way, the best. A lot of CEOs, they built businesses and, they didn't have to get that MBA because it was experiential. And so they just figured it out. And so as a university, we've got to figure out how to educate people the way that they want to be educated. And so we're looking at our ability to meet people where they are, whether it's before they get to college and pre-college, or they're already professionals looking to transition into something else. Like, how do we reach out and get that learner where they are? And maintenance is a great way to get that done, because a lot of people, especially because of the demand, they're like, what, I can go get this certification and then go make $70,000 a year. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I'm going to get that done. But
I could take it further than that. Look, I see it from the catbird seat. If I'm talking to a young, technically focused individual, I could sit there and say, look, you can go get your AMP. Mm-hmm. And if you take it a little bit further, you go get your engineering degree. And now you're technically proficient on an airplane. You've got an engineering degree. You go figure out the business aspect, and you go work with a leasing company. And I know some of these guys are, and these men and women that are working for leasing companies or trading companies that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because they understand the technical aspect of an engine, or they understand the technical aspect of an airplane. They can put they can roll the technical experience into dollars and cents. And they can make a business case. And this is, it's an exciting time for a young person.
Absolutely. So how do we help them do that? How do we make it stackable so they're not, doing 4 years of something and then they move off to something else, So we're working on our certification. So I talked about the ones that I want to bring into the, aviation management / business aviation side. But even in maintenance, I want the airframe certificate, the power plant certificate, so that you don't have to go all the way through and get your AMP, which puts you right at an associate's degree, which that's even a good sell. I'm like, hey, come here for 2 years and come out making $70,000, right? That's something that I'm selling to my pilot students too. I'm like, guys, if you're struggling financially to get through the pilot program, here's a quicker way. And with a Pell Grant, like it's pretty much paid for. Go do this first, and then you can finance your own pilot training.
Yeah, absolutely. And my daughter's 23 years old. She's a nurse. She's got a BSRN. She's a trauma nurse. She makes $70,000 a year. If I can go make 70 grand a year at 23 years old, with a certificate, which, paves the way for me to go get more. Explain to me how that's a bad story. I mean,
I agree.
It's the story. It's the story in aviation we're not telling.
Yeah. And I'm trying to go all through Kansas. I want to hit all of the counties in Kansas, especially my Western Kansas compatriots that are already working on tractors on the farm. I had a farm kid here the other day, and he wanted to be a pilot student. And I was like, hey, buddy, let me tell you something real quick. And I told him that, and he was like, what? I took him over to our AVM lab, which that's aviation maintenance. And I let him go touch, different aspects. We have a King Air C90 out there that we do advanced systems on. And he was blown away. He's like, I mean, this is what I do anyway. I'm like, yeah, but I love it. It's airplanes. And he's like, okay, sign me up. Like, let's do it. So that's easy. But then also, what if I just bring you in here? You get your airframe, you get your general certificate. You can go work, come get your airframe. Then you go to work. Then you come back and finish your A&P. You get back to work, right? So now it's stackable so that if you don't have the finance to do it right away, I can get it to you piecemeal. But then also, you're already working out there. I want to get you an avionics certificate, right? That's a partnership that I want to work on with Garmin, right? I want to get you a Garmin certification while you're here, an avionics certification general. I want to get you a composites certification. We have an amazing composites instructor. His name's Doug Zur, and he's a graduate from our program. And he came back and he was like, I just want to help. And he put together himself our composites program, and it's outstanding. And he goes above and beyond to even, he started a composites club where they start their own small business using, what they're able to come up with and selling it. And now they're working business plans, P&Ls. They're out there in the community. They're doing things, And so that's more than just knowledge. It's applied knowledge where they're actually in the industry and doing their things, and they feel comfortable with themselves. And now they've started a small business as well and had to apply for small business loans. And it's just outstanding. That's passion right there.
And you're doing what the country needs to be doing with higher education, which is training people for skills which they can then take further in their lives.
Absolutely.
To careers. So good. Let's do this. Let's wrap it up here.
Okay.
And let's bring you back.
Come on. I love this.
We're bringing you back in a couple of months. We're going to talk about your progress next semester. How's that sound?
I love that. I just, I want to take a second while we're on camera though, but I appreciate you so much. I want you to know that. I would have never known about this job had it not been for you. So real quick, as a transition thought, leaving the Air Force, LinkedIn is huge for any of my people that are transitioning and making those connections and cold calls or messages, because I was on LinkedIn. Somebody was like, Craig is the man you might want to connect to. I sent Craig one of those inbox messages with my resume. He was like, okay, thanks. And then, that was it. But then it was probably 9 months later, I get an email from Craig that's like, hey, I saw something that meets your resume pretty good. What do you think? And it was K-State. And I was like, yes, please. Let's go after this. And a couple months later, I'm in here as the department head, and it was just an awesome experience. So.
Yeah, it was a little more than that, though. We had some good conversation. You kind of talked about how you were leading and guiding the training program down at Tinker, and that's something I knew fairly well. And it was about building a relationship, but it was about building a relationship early and understanding. Hey, look, this is what the future is all about. So, I'm thrilled you're doing so well. Congratulations on that, and it's been a great relationship.
It's easy to wake up in the morning to go to work when you love what you do, and I think the recruiter's job is to connect talent with passion and, the right fit. And, this was it. This was absolutely it.
Congratulations on all your success. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, man. We made it.
We're going to see you in a few months.
Okay. Roger that.
All right, Ty.
Have a good one.